Mr. Ashcroft, thank you for your service. I wanted to ask you about some remarks the Attorney General made when he said that he thought the president, he was asked about the president targeting his political opponents and enemies for prosecution. And I don't subscribe to what I think is a false equivalence. We've never seen a president behave this way, where he openly and privately calls on the Attorney General to prosecute his enemies. And I want to ask you about that, Mr. Ashcroft, because Mr. Blanche has said that he believes the president has both the right and the duty to use the Justice Department to go after his enemies. Do you subscribe to that view?
Thank you, Senator. I believe that the Attorney General of the United States has the right and responsibility to enforce the law uniformly. And if the law has been broken by the president's enemies, he has a duty. They do not become exempt from following the law merely by their enmity to the President of the United States. As a matter of fact, the people who break the law are in enmity with the people of the United States, whose expression of what is the law has been developed in this body and the Congress of the United States. So we used to call people who break the law public enemies.
Well, Mr. Attorney,
so my view is that whether a person has been a political supporter or not of the President of the United States is not the determining factor regarding prosecution. It's whether a person has violated the law, and in enforcing the law, the Attorney General is carrying out the will expressed in the Congress.
Mr. Attorney General, you realize, having sat here, my time is very limited. That really isn't my question. My question is, do you think it is appropriate for the President to call on the Attorney General to prosecute one of his enemies, and acting on that, request the President for the Attorney General to do so?
The President of the United States is the executive branch of the United States whose charge it is to enforce the laws of the United States.
So
when the President of the United States asks that the laws be enforced, I don't see that as consistent with his duties or responsibilities. If the laws were to be enforced differentially, and which one of the things that scares me about as many laws as we have, someone said in order to run a police state, you only have to have one policeman, but if you have enough laws, you can go find something wrong with anybody you want.
Mr. Ashcroft,
so the President, I believe, his job is to have an administration which calls for the enforcement of the laws of the United States without regard to the political preferences of the people who are perpetrators or accused individuals in the system.
I'm not sure that I understand your answer, except you seem to accept the premise that it is okay now for a president to call the Attorney General and ask him to prosecute his enemies. You don't seem to have a problem with that. If you do have a problem with that, please say so.
I believe the President needs to be an advocate of strong law enforcement.
Okay, that
includes enemies of his.
With respect, Mr. Attorney General.
If an enemy of the President goes out and conducts a violent crime, it's nothing wrong with the President calling the Attorney General and saying, I hope you do something about this violent crime.
And if the President's enemy takes a photo of seashells, you think it's appropriate to prosecute them? If senators make a video stating the plain law and Constitution that you can disobey an illegal order, you think it's okay for the President or others to call on them to be prosecuted? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I don't think you would have done that as Attorney General. I hope you wouldn't have. If you would have, you were not the Attorney General I thought you were. I don't think it's appropriate for this Attorney General or any other. And I don't remember seeing, notwithstanding the false equivalence I hear expressed so many times from my colleagues in this committee, I don't remember any Democratic president calling the Attorney General and saying, you need to prosecute him, and you need to prosecute her, and you need to prosecute them, and you need to go after this organization. We have never seen that before or anything like it. Anything like it. And generic statements, oh, they all do it, is simply not the case. And by making that argument, it just further erodes the wall of independence that I'm sure, Attorney General, you remember after Watergate, when because of the abuses of President Nixon, there was an effort to make the Justice Department independent from the White House, not completely independent in the sense that the president couldn't set general priorities. I want you to emphasize these cases and these cases, whether it's immigration cases or drug cases. That was always appropriate. But what has never been appropriate, and particularly so after Watergate, was for the Attorney General of the United States to break that wall and call on his Attorney General to prosecute his enemies. And I would say even without any basis to do so. And this Justice Department has been willing to do so and has gone before grand juries, and we have never, I think, seen the likes of this either in these high-profile cases where the grand jurors, in some cases to a person, have refused an indictment. How often did you have that happen to you, Mr. Attorney? Last question I'll ask you. How often, Mr. Attorney General, did you seek an indictment as a prosecutor and have not a single grand juror vote to indict? Did that ever happen to you?
I don't know. I just don't know.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Brett.